Now we have learnt three different types of collision questions. One was perfectly inelastic, then the second one was perfectly elastic. So here E was 0 and here E was 1, and we also saw a set of examples where E is between 0 and 1, so we call it partly elastic, partly inelastic. Now let us look at a few more cases of collisions. So I am going to now look at one kind. Now this one, you are going to find E does not fall into any of these. So for example, imagine that I have a block and you shoot a bullet at this block. Now this bullet goes in, makes a hole and comes out of the block. That's also possible, right? So the bullet actually just makes a hole and gets out of the block. So far in all the collision questions, the relative velocity after collision, that was faster than this one. So relative velocity V2 minus V1 was always greater than 0. Whereas before collision, this must come and hit it. So U1 was greater than U2. So U2 minus U1 was negative. V2 minus V1 was positive. But now what is going to happen is after the collision, this guy is still faster than that one. The bullet is so fast, it makes a hole and passes through. And this is not a very uncommon situation. Bullets can pierce a hole and continue to get out. So what I'm going to do is, I will say this was mass m, and let us say you had a velocity of some 20 meters per second. Let's in fact come up with a mass for this. I'm going to say this fellow had a mass of 0.5 kg. It's a big bullet. Okay, and let us say that this block has a mass of let us say 7 kg. Okay, and the bullet comes out making a hole. It comes out, let us say, with 10 meters per second speed. Little part of the bullet may stick there, which I am going to ignore. Now this block was initially at rest, so after the collision is over, the block would have a velocity of v. I am now making it up here. I am telling you that this fellow has a velocity of 10. So we need to find out what is v. Momentum conservation will tell us 0.5 into 20 plus 7 into 0 must be equal to 0.5 into 10, because this guy is moving at 10, plus 7 into what? Right, 7 into v. So if I find v and I find that v is less than 10, then you know that this bullet has made a hole and gone through. Let us check. So if I bring this to this side, I'm going to get 0.5 into 20 minus 10, which is how much? Which is 0.5 into 10, must be 7v. V is 5 by 7 meters per second. So this fellow has a speed of 5 by 7 meters per second, which is less than 1. And the bullet is going at 10 meters per second. So was this a collision problem? Yes, definitely it was a collision problem. It collided, except that it did not rebound, it did not stick, it made a hole and it went through. Okay, so if it passes through, so I'll call this thing passes through kind of collision questions. People don't usually refer to them as collision questions, but they are collision questions. And for this kind of a question, I want to find out what is the value of E. So you know that minus E is V2 minus V1 by U2 minus U1. What is U2 minus U1? This was U1, this was U2. So U2 minus U1 is easy, 0 minus 20. But when we come to V2 minus V1, remember, whatever you called U1, that's the final velocity of that object must be V1. So the final bullet was U1. So bullet must be V1. So this is V1. Though it is that side, remember, that is V1, this is V2. So what is V1? V1 is 10. What is V2? 5 by 7. So here I must start with 5 by 7 minus 10. This is going to be a negative number, this is going to be a negative number, overall positive number. So E will turn out to be negative because it's minus E. Okay, you never had E is negative in any of these cases. So when something passes through, then you will find that E is going to be negative. So is that idea clear? So let us calculate this. So this is minus 70. So 5 minus 70 is minus 65 by 7 into minus 20. This minus minus we can cancel out. 5 4s, 5 13s. Okay, so I've got 13 by 28. So E is minus 13 by 28. So E is negative, less than 0. It passes through, because E is less than 0 means what? If E is negative, this will be positive, because minus E will be positive. If minus E is positive, this has to be positive. So V2 minus V1 and U2 minus U1 must be the same sign. Relative velocity after collision and relative velocity before collision must be of the same sign. But before collision it must collide. So U2 minus U1, U2 minus U1 must be negative. U2 must be smaller, because otherwise you won't even collide. So if this is negative, this must be negative. So after collision, the fellow that collided, came and hit, is still faster than the object that it hit, which means it must have gone through, right? So passing through will mean E is less than 0. So I hope this condition is clear to everybody. So this is one more example of collision. Now there is one more example of collision, which is basically something people don't even think of as collision, but you can use the same principles. We will call it explosion. So the next thing that we are going to focus on is when objects explode. So I will call it explosion. Why am I calling explosion as collision? Because same laws, same principles will work. Okay, so if something goes through, you can use momentum conservation. Initial momentum is final momentum. And you can use V2 minus V1 by U2 minus U1 is minus E. You can use both of these, right? The same way for explosion, you can use both of these as long as you know what to do with E. Many times we won't be given E in a context like this, but you can calculate E if you want. The same way, let us try to understand how to analyze an explosion now. If we now look at a very simple explosion situation, imagine that we have only one object and this object explodes into two pieces. So if one piece is going to fly off that way with a velocity of V2, the second piece, let us say, flies off in this direction with a velocity of V1. Okay, so here I'm talking about speeds. Let us call that M2 and let's call this M1. In the beginning, I don't know what was happening, but maybe we can say that this whole thing was moving with U. So then you will write initial momentum M1 plus M2 into U in that direction, I'll call that positive direction, is equal to M2 V2 minus M1 V1, because here I'm saying V1 and V2 are speeds. If I had put velocity, I would have got V1 itself as negative, so therefore we would have basically said plus M1 V1. So what have we equated here? Initial momentum is final momentum. So we have just used momentum conservation. You don't usually talk about coefficient of restitution in a situation like this, right? You could talk about it, right? You can say E minus E is V2 minus V1 relative velocity at the end. So now if you say V2 minus V1, I should say minus of minus V1, because minus V1, well, this is going this way, that's going that way, divided by U2 minus U1, well, U2 minus U1, both of them are moving the same velocity. So U2 minus U1 is 0. So you will end up with an answer where E turns out to be infinity. Okay, so this was a case where it's usually not talked about because it was stuck together. But you can also think about a slightly different situation where there might be calculation for coefficient of restitution. For example, imagine that I have an object, let's say not a bullet, let us say I have an object which comes and hits this thing. At that time there is some sort of an explosion, and so this fellow flies off. Okay, so more energy is generated. So usually after the explosion you have a larger kinetic energy than before. So in all of these cases you have less kinetic energy at the end. Here you are going to have more kinetic energy at the end. So let us look at this. So in this case, let me say that this fellow is going with a velocity of 5 meters per second, and that fellow was at rest, 0 meters per second. Now let's say that this object was mass 2 kg and say, let's say this was mass of 4 kg. But it was a chemical explosive. So when this fellow comes and hits it, it pushes it very, very hard. And so it turns out, let us say that when this fellow is returning, it is coming back with 8 meters per second. This object is coming back with 8 meters per second. And what will happen to this fellow? Momentum has to be conserved. So what will be this guy's velocity? V. Well, if you use momentum conservation, you can say 2 into 5. Okay, I'm taking positive direction that way. 2 into 5 plus 4 into 0, initial momentum, must be final momentum 4 into V plus, this was 2 kg, right? 2 kg into minus 8. So minus 16. 2 into minus 8. So minus 16. So when you bring it here, you will get this is 10 plus 16. So you get 26 is 4V. So V is 26 by 4 or 13 by 2. Right? 6.5 meters per second. Now if you see this whole thing, let us calculate what is E in this case. So minus E is going to be V2 minus V1. This is V2, 13 by 2, 6.5. V2 minus V1. This guy has a velocity of minus 8. So minus of minus 8 by U2 minus U1, 0 minus 5. So you see that this is definitely positive because this was positive, this is negative. So overall negative, negative minus minus will cancel out. So you can see that E is a positive number. So I'll take the minus sign and cancel out that minus here. So I've got 6.5 plus 8. What is 6.5 plus 8? 14.5. So I've got 14.5 by 5. You can see that this is some 2.9 I think, right? 3 times will be 15. So this is 2.9. So I've got E greater than 0. Sorry, greater than 1. So E is now almost 3. How is that possible? Because this fellow had an explosive here. So there was an explosion. So anytime there is an explosion, you will get E greater than 1. And if you notice here, you got infinity. But don't assume that it's always going to be infinity. In this case, it was not infinity, it was greater than 1. So anytime you have E greater than 1, is it possible? Yes, but it won't be something that will happen with a regular collision. Because in most regular collisions, you will lose energy, kinetic energy. Including here, you will lose kinetic energy. So even here, E cannot be less than minus 1. It will be between 0 and minus 1. Okay, but E greater than 1 tells you that there was an explosion. Is the basic idea clear? Right? So we have now seen a whole bunch of different situations. These are the more common ones where you have perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic and partly elastic. But passing through and explosion, usually people don't use coefficient of restitution to calculate, but it's a good idea to analyze it this way. There are a couple of extra things that I want you to now think about and learn. What happens if there was a huge object? Sometimes people call it a wall. I would like to call it a truck. Now you can have two things. You can say there was a truck standing and you threw a ball at the truck, it hit the truck, and then what will happen? You know that the ball is going to bounce. Clearly the truck isn't going to move. That's one kind of situation. The second, there is a truck that is moving and it collides against something like a ball, okay, or a cycle. Then if a truck is a huge object that comes and hits a small tiny object, then what is the velocity of the tiny object? So these are two questions that we can try and answer. We will use this idea of E to basically quickly answer these two. Let us now look at this case. I'm going to call this like a truck, okay, or a wall. But let us say that it has a huge mass, maybe 1000 kg. Okay, I'm just going to call it M. So greater than 1000 kg. And it was initially at rest. Then you take a ball and let us say this ball has a velocity of 10 meters per second. Ball has a mass of, let us say, 2 kg. It's a huge ball, basketball, and I'm throwing it on the wall. So now this fellow goes and hits the wall. Now you know that after it hits, it's going to bounce back. What will be the velocity with which it will bounce back? What will be the speed of bounce? You know that it must be 10. Just practically, If it was an elastic collision, you know it must be 10. Okay, I'm going to talk about a perfectly elastic case with a wall. Why? Because the energy can't go anywhere and therefore you know that this is going to be 10. But we won't use this right now. Let us do the calculation carefully. Now if you take this fellow, whatever happens, what do you think about this fellow's velocity? It was 0, but if something comes and hits the wall or hits a truck, what do you think will be the velocity of the truck at the end? It is going to be really small, right? So it is going to be V2 is going to be some 0.00001, right? So I can almost assume, so I'll say approximately 0. Later we will come to refine that idea. Now if I use elastic collision, and it may not be elastic, so if I use elastic collision, I will say E is 1, so minus E is minus 1, V2 minus V1, I'm going to use this as velocity, not speed, so V2 minus V1 by U2 minus U1. Now if you see this, you will see that it is V1 by 10, and so V1 must be minus 10 meters per second. So this must be minus 10 meters per second. Minus 10 simply means that it's going in this direction with speed of 10 meters per second. But makes sense, no? It's coming at 10 meters per second, it's bouncing back at 10 meters per second because it is elastic. Suppose it was not elastic. Suppose this whole thing had E, if E was half. Then this is just simply going to be minus half, because minus E is going to be V1 by 10. Because this guy's velocity won't change. V2 is not going to become anything else. It's going to continue to be 0. So then what is V1? Minus 5. So in that case, V1 will become minus 5 meters per second. So it's going to be E times the initial velocity. So this in general is going to be E times the initial velocity, if I call that U. If you go in and hit with U, you're going to bounce back with E times U. Why? Because this is not moving. So V2, in general V2 minus V1 by U2 minus U1, and this is also 0. V2 is also 0. This is also 0, this is also 0. This must be equal to minus E. So V1 by U is minus E. So this tells you V1 is minus EU. Minus just simply tells you it is in the opposite direction. Speed, magnitude of V1 is magnitude of E times U. So you're coming in with E, you're bouncing, coming in with U, you're bouncing back with E times U. So if the coefficient of restitution was half, you will bounce back with 5 meters per second. If it was perfectly elastic, E is 1, then you will bounce back with 10 meters per second. Now this would have been, for at least elastic collision, you know that whatever you're coming in, you're going to bounce back with the same speed, because this fellow has no kinetic energy. Now at this point, let me first state it, and then we will worry about it in a minute. Okay? So here we are talking about collision with a wall. Now it need not be a wall, with a huge object. If it is a huge object that is at rest, huge object at rest, it could be a wall, it could be a truck, then you know that your final velocity V1 is going to be in the opposite direction, and its speed is E times the initial velocity. And what about V2? V2 is 0, so this fellow does not move. But this fellow does not move is an obvious statement, right? So in this context, we can calculate E, but we don't want to calculate E here. The important thing I want you to keep here, because I'm assuming that you know E here. It's a regular collision kind of a question. Now E is between 0 and 1 as always. So if it is my E times U, so where will you use such a problem? If I take a ball and it hits the ground, and I'm telling you coefficient of restitution is 0.3. If it hits with 10 meters per second, it will bounce back with 0.3 times 10. So that is 3 meters per second. Next time it comes back and hits at 3 meters per second, 0.3 times 3. So 0.9 times is the meters per second, right? So you can quickly calculate the speed at which something is bouncing off, particularly with, like, say, gravitational bounce kind of thing. You can do it quite easily. But this is a useful thing to keep in mind. Now I want to ask a small question here. Well, this guy went with you and came back with you, but that was 0 and this is 0. Momentum is not conserved. Or is it conserved? Because what is this guy's momentum? This guy's initial momentum is 2 times 10, 20. So I am now talking about, is momentum initial equal to momentum final? 2 times 10, 20. And let's assume E is 1. So what is the final momentum? This is initial. What about final momentum? Initial momentum plus mass into 0. So we'll assume that is 0. M into 0. What about final momentum? Final momentum is minus 2 kg into 10. So that is minus 20. But these two don't match. That is because, though this you have to say m times V2. V2 is 0, but it's 0 because m is really large. M times V2 is not 0. So if I thought of V2 as, so let's write it as m times V2. So m times V2 is not 0. V2 is 0, but m times V2 is not 0. V2 is approximately 0. So what is m times V2? This must be equal to this. So if it goes there, it's going to become 40. So 40. The momentum that this fellow has is 40 kilogram meter per second. This guy came with a momentum of 20, went back with a momentum of minus 20. This guy got a momentum of 40, a huge momentum. Every time a ball goes and hits the earth, earth takes its momentum. Earth takes more. Usually when the ball bounces back, it takes this momentum plus minus of that momentum. It takes that also, because who's giving you the momentum? It's coming from the earth. But what about energy of this fellow? Well, let us assume mass was 1000 kg. So if I assume mass was 1000 kg, and I can make it larger, let's make it 10,000 kg. So let us say that mass was not 1000 kg, but 10,000 kg. Well, if it is 10,000 kg, what is V2? 40 divided by 10,000. So 4 divided by 1000 meters per second. What is the kinetic energy of the wall? What is the momentum of the wall? 40 kilogram meter per second. What is the kinetic energy of the wall? Half mass of the wall, which is 10,000. So I'll write 10 to the power of 4 here, into V square, V2 square. V2 square, this is 16 divided by 10 to the power of 3 square, which is 10 to the power of 6. So if you notice what is going to happen, this is going to become 8. Can you see? It is 8 by 100. So it is 0.08 joules. The kinetic energy of the wall is 0.08 joules. What is the kinetic energy of this ball? So kinetic energy of the ball is half mass into speed square, 100. It is 100 joules. This guy came with 100 joules. This guy, after it has got double the momentum, it has got double the momentum. Look at that. That momentum was 20. This fellow's got 40. It has got double the momentum, but its kinetic energy is 0.08, which you can throw it away. It's such a small amount. Out of 100, if you remove 0.08, what is it? 99.92. 99.92. That means this guy has all the energy. 100 joules, 100 joules. 100 joules is not it's a correction. You have to basically say it is not really 100, it is 99.92 joules, but that is almost 100 joules. So what we do is to say, instead of thinking of this as 10,000 kilograms, suppose you made this 1 million kilograms, this V2 would have become even smaller. So the basic point is kinetic energy, you can write it as half mv square, but you can also write that as momentum into V. So you can write momentum into V 1 by 2. And V you can write it as momentum by m. So if I did that, I'll get P square by 2m. So people sometimes write kinetic energy in this form. And then what happens? P square, that is 40 square. The more the mass, smaller is the kinetic energy. Because usually you say half mv square, but half mv square, you are assuming the velocity is constant. Here momentum is constant. So momentum this guy gets is 40. P final is 40 kilogram meter per second. But given that this is 40, this will be 40 square. If I made this mass 1 million kilogram, you're getting 40 square by a million kilograms. So it's going to become really, really small. If this was infinite mass, momentum is still 40, velocity will become really small, and since you have a v square term, this thing goes to 0. So the main point is that this guy takes momentum. Whenever you're colliding with a huge object, the huge object takes momentum. But the huge object does not take kinetic energy. Think about it. The big object, big wall, I'll just call it a wall, takes momentum but not kinetic energy. Very, very important point to keep in mind. So if it was an elastic collision, the kinetic energy has to be sitting in the ball. It cannot be sitting in the wall because the wall is not going to take kinetic energy. The wall takes a part of the momentum. So it looks like there was momentum conservation mismatch, but it is not the case because this guy's momentum plus this guy's momentum, if you take this guy's momentum into account, overall that momentum was sitting there. This fellow took that momentum. So final momentum of this fellow plus final momentum of that fellow together is equal to initial momentum of this fellow plus initial momentum of that fellow. So momentum is conserved because the wall takes the momentum. I take a ball and throw it on the wall took some amount of momentum. You can't see it because the velocity is really, really tiny. Earth, when you hit something with the like the Earth is, you're talking about 10 to the power of 24 kg. Earth's momentum you cannot even see, measure, because I mean it's there, it's taking, even if I gave Earth like 4,000 kilogram meter per second, that's nothing for the Earth divided by mass. 6 into 10 power 24 kg. So Earth would have hardly moved. But just that little tiny V2 into m still is a finite quantity. But because you have taken the momentum into such a large mass, kinetic energy has not become large. Kinetic energy is actually very small. Because mv square is mv into v, v is 0. mv is a finite quantity. So basically this is the idea behind calculus. Product of two quantities, one very large, one very small. That can be constant, but then when you take that large quantity into the small quantity square, the large into small will be the finite one, into the small will make it really small. So that means this guy's kinetic energy is 0, so all the kinetic energy must be here. Now, if I'm telling you that the coefficient of restitution is E, this guy's kinetic energy is still 0. So all the kinetic energy that was there came to this fellow, but what is this guy's velocity? EU. So what is this guy's kinetic energy? E square U square, right? So this guy's kinetic energy will become half mass E square U square. In the beginning it was half mass U square. So how much is the loss in energy? That much. So you can see it's 1 minus E square times kinetic energy initial. Okay, so E square times the original kinetic energy is the final kinetic energy. Of course, it's perfectly elastic, E is 1, so that's the same kinetic energy. So I hope this idea is clear to everybody. Now let us now think about the alternate situation. What happens if a huge object comes and collides with a small object? Now let us imagine that I have a truck, and this truck is moving with some velocity, let us say 4 meters per second, and this truck strikes a ball. Now this ball was originally at rest, 0 meters per second. So when the truck strikes the ball, we need to find out what is the speed of the ball after the truck hits the ball. Now first point is that the truck has a huge mass. So I will call this mass some 10 to the power of 4 or 10 to the power of 5 kg. Ball, let us say, has 2 kilograms mass. So you know that momentum conservation makes very little sense here because a small change in the velocity, because it's 10 power 4, if I have, instead of 4 I have 3.999 into 10 power 4, that 0.0001 will still matter because this is such a huge amount. So you know that overall momentum conservation, directly application of that is not going to help us very much. But you also know that this fellow's velocity is not going to change. So finally V1 is 4 meters per second. after collision, this guy is going to have a speed of v2 in that direction. I'm going to assume that direction is positive. What can I say? Minus E is v2 minus v1 by u2 minus u1. Can you see that? Now, if I assume it is an elastic collision, perfectly elastic collision, this is going to be minus 1 because E is 1. So, minus 1 into minus 4 is 4, is V2 minus 4. Can you see that when the 4 comes up there, you're going to get 8. V2 is 8 meters per second. So, this guy is flying off with double the speed of this guy. Sounds a little weird, no? You are approaching it with 4, but you are going away with 8. Why should that object run away with 8? So that is the question that we want to answer. Of course, our coefficient of restitution idea, the basic equation, tells you that it must be 8. It must be 8. I mean, nothing wrong with this calculation. I want to show you it will be double. How do I show it's double? In general, if this was u, then I can write v2 minus u by 0 minus u. If this was at rest, 0 minus u is minus 1. So this is going to be u, and u plus u will make it 2u. So you need this fellow to be 2u. Just think, if this was 2u, 2u minus u is u, by minus u will give me minus 1, which is exactly what I want. But that means this fellow is always flying off with twice the speed with which it's being hit, which is why accidents matter, right? It makes such a big difference. If a truck comes and hits a cycle, the cycle flies off. Why does the cycle fly off? Well, this tells you that it flies off at twice the speed. But I want to now do the same thing. You know that about energy, etc. If this fellow reduces by a small amount, the amount of energy change here will be enough to compensate for the energy. So don't worry about energy conservation. Energy is conserved. And similarly, kinetic energy is conserved. Not just that, momentum is also conserved. So they're already inbuilt into this too. Because the mass is so large, you can't just write the equation and figure it out directly, because it looks like there was a kinetic energy here. But that would have come from this 4 becoming 3.99999, which is almost 4. So when we are saying this is 4, this is almost 4. Slight difference. If you made this 10 to the power of 20, then this is exactly 4. It's such a small difference from 4 that you can treat this almost as 4. So energy, kinetic energy changes of this fellow will be significant, will accommodate for that. If instead of saying that the coefficient of restitution is 1, which means elastic collision, if it was an inelastic collision, but not perfectly inelastic, we are talking about something which is partly elastic, partly inelastic collision. Then instead of a 1, I will have E. So when you bring this here, what will happen? You will get E times U plus U is V2. So you're getting V2 must be E plus 1 U. For perfectly elastic collision, what will happen? You will find that this is 1 plus 1, 2U. So let us just write that statement down here. So this is the 7th case. So you have now a moving wall. I'll call it a moving wall or a moving truck. Okay, wall is moving is the same as saying truck is moving. So a moving wall which is moving with you collides with a stationary ball. The speed of the ball, so speed of the ball after the collision is going to become, well, either 2 times u or E plus 1 times u. E plus 1 times u. So it is going to fly off with double, right, if E was 1. Can we understand and analyze this in a different way? Let us now look at the same situation in a slightly different way. If I now look at this problem, I can think in terms of relative motion. So I'm going to do the whole thing relative to truck. Why truck? Because the truck is moving with 4 meters per second. After the collision also it's moving at 4 meters per second. So it's a good inertial frame for us to take. So if I start with the truck, then as far as the truck is concerned, what does the truck say? Truck says I am moving at 0. I am not going anywhere. Truck is at rest. But what does the truck say about the ball? The truck says the ball is coming towards me at 4 meters per second. I'll first do this with perfectly elastic case because that's easy. Then you will also be able to do it with the inelastic cases or partly elastic case. So it comes at 4, but you already know truck is here. You come and hit at 4, you will go back at 4. This part is easy, right? Everybody understands this. Like we saw earlier, you come and hit at 4, you're going to bounce back with 4, and what will happen to the truck? Nothing. But this is as seen in the truck frame. Now if you want to go back to the ground frame, ground reference. Now what is the difference between the truck reference frame and the ground reference frame? In the ground reference frame, the truck is moving at 4 meters per second. So plus add back this 4 meters per second. You add back 4 meters per second to this, you add 4, this guy's velocity will become 4 like this plus 4 like this, 0. Exactly like it was before. But now let us take this fellow, the one that is, so this is the initial, now let us say this second fellow. So when this is going back, what is going to happen? It has 4 meters per second. Now I'm adding 4 meters per second to everything. So I'm going to add 4 meters per second to this. So what is its velocity? 4 plus 4, 8 meters per second. Do you see that it must be 8 meters per second? That's why we concluded when we did this with our coefficient of restitution, the answer came out to be 8 meters per second. But you don't need the coefficient of restitution to do this. You just simply say, let's go to the truck reference frame. From the truck's point of view, you came at 4 and you must go back at 4 from the truck's point of view. But that means from the ground's point of view, you were at 0. When the truck hit you, you must be going out with 8 meters per second. Because you must be going at 4 relative to the truck. But the truck itself is going at 4. So relative to the truck, you have 4 plus 4. So that makes it 8. When you are coming this way, 4 plus 4 makes it 0 because you are at rest. In fact, this idea of relative motion is so powerful for these kinds of questions, you should think of using them. So use relative motion. So each of these, I have written down for each of these cases, what is the important idea to keep in mind? Okay, so here use relative motion. Let us see how I can extend this idea in general. So instead of talking about 4 and so on, let us say that this was u. So if this was u, you wanted to make this rest, this guy is coming at u, so this guy will bounce back at u. And therefore, when you make this back to u, you are going to make this 0 and this will become 2u. So that was easy. But if I had said it did not collide elastically, it had a coefficient of restitution e. So after collision, it is going to become EU. So this fellow is going to become EU. And then you are adding u. So instead of 2u, this will become e plus 1 because EU plus u, e plus 1u. And that's what we got when we use the coefficient of restitution. So I hope the idea is clear. But this way of thinking allows us to do something more. For example, if this guy is approaching at u and that fellow is approaching it's not at 0, it is approaching at v, then what will happen? So if you now see, we have done this problem with the ball being at rest and the wall or the truck coming and hitting it. What will happen if there was an object which was moving like a truck and you also throw something at it? So it will collide with the truck and it will bounce back. What will be the speed with which it will bounce back? Now that's a very interesting question. You can use this idea of relative motion to solve it. Let us look at that in one of the solved examples.